Truck drivers rejoice. Joel Wagner from Daimler Trucks Perth has all you need to make your job look easier than Tony Modra sitting on blokes' heads taking a Freo specky. Joel is in charge of the Fuso truck range and is ready to make your dreams come true on the road. Inquire about the 515 Canter City cabs, which have been very popular as a ute alternative. The 515 has more tray space and payload than a ute, is drivable on a car licence, and has car-like safety features. To top it off, there is a whopping 5-year, 200,000 kilometre warranty, which makes this beast more reliable than paid West Coast Eagles inside 50 free kicks during a Western Derby. So if you're looking to smarten up your transportation, from car licensed light trucks to prime movers, contact Joel at jwagner@daimlertrucksperth.com.au or ask for Joel on 9311 7400. Don't forget to mention the Purple Rain to receive the Purple Love treatment.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Re-Dockables with Duck and Oz of the Purple Rain.
Howdy, y'all.
How are you, man?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just getting back in the swing of things. Seems like there's literally no cases of coronavirus in Western Australia.
We have one new one today.
One new one today, mate?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, man, that sucks. So I'll just look up. I've got Sneakers McGowan. He's like my number one follow on Twitter, mate. Number one search. What do we got? Oh, 7 active cases, and 2 of those are in hospital. 1 new case today. Oh, well, mate. But, yeah, man, it seems like there's going to be no footy in WA. Anyway, mate, we've just seen news on Twitter that the AFL has made it that no AFL-listed players will play in the second-tier competition. So Peel Talk is RI Peel, I guess, mate. Yeah. It's done. Rest in Peel.
Peeled off.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's peeled off. We've unpeeled it. So, yeah, a bit of a weird one because obviously significant impact on the waffle and all the second-tier competitions. And you'd assume that, I guess the understanding is that no second-tier competitions would take place then, potentially. But maybe we'll wait till segment 3, mate, because I've got an idea for the waffle. If we're gonna put a hard border down, I've got a hard border idea.
Yeah, mate.
And, involves sticking it up the VFL, mate.
I've got an idea for them. Don't worry about that.
Oz, the Re-Dockable episode, round 21 versus St Kilda, a.k.a. the J-Lo game. Apologies in advance, guys, for the quality of the bloody video. It was pretty terrible.
Mate,
I struggled to watch it. And then the last quarter, because the last quarter's on a separate AFL YouTube thing where they play the whole last quarter, I'm like, man, why can't the AFL, this is a game from 2005 that I'd suggest limited people would really care about. So, why not release the vault? Let everyone watch all the old games. Why are you holding it back? There was a little bit of a sniff from America. Everyone wants to watch old games, so why limit it? I know they've got to make money, but, keep the popularity going. You can set it up so you can get ads on YouTube and stuff like that. Just give the access to the people.
Honestly thought there was something wrong with my glasses. I'm giving them a
Mate,
wipe.
I really struggled for a long time, and I was like, oh, yeah, that blur.
Who is that guy? Oh, he's 22.
Once it went to the last quarter, I put the link on our Facebook to the last quarter, and it was just refreshing to watch that whole last quarter. But, mate, the Fremantle Dockers, before the 1 minute review, it was round 21 against St Kilda, 2005. Freo Dockers 12-8-80 defeated St Kilda 11-9-75. And Oz, I'm going to get the stopwatch so I can do. Have you got the music, or are you going to go with this music?
This is Freo music.
Freo music?
Just keep it going, mate.
All right, hang on. Let me bring that up. All right, I'm going to see if I can do.
As long as I can drag this out.
Put the Thunderstruck on, mate.
Are you on the Thunderstruck?
Change it. I need some pumped up music.
All
All right, because I've got 1 minute to win it.
This
There
one.
it is. Okay, guys, what happened in this game? Well, Freo bounced out the blocks. They kicked the first 4 goals, I think. I think Sandy drops the mark, and they kicked the first goal. But then we kicked the next 4. Then St Kilda essentially gained control and go on a 10-goal-3 run. Then their injuries take toll. Penny gets injured. Maguire gets injured. Cozzy gets injured. The G-Train gets injured. We managed to score 5 goals from free kicks from the umpires. The Wiz just misses MK right at the end. McFarlane tackles Peckett out of nowhere, kicks it to J-Lo, who's been playing down back most of the game. He takes the mark, and as they will like to say, mate, the rest is history. And that was with 20 seconds to go, mate, on
Good
the
stuff,
clock.
mate.
So, pretty big summary there. But, Oz, let's get into the teams, mate, before
Okay,
you
teams.
do that.
Okay, yeah, the
GBU,
teams.
if you can read out this team, mate. And it's a pretty bloody good team.
So I asked you this question at the beginning, and I said, having a look at this team, how is it possible that we did not finish higher on the ladder?
Yeah.
Sensational team. Here we go. Heath Black, Josh Carr, Matthew Carr, Brum Brum, Troy Cook, Ryan Crowley, Stephen Dodd, Jeff Farmer, Anthony Grover, Paul Hazelby, Justin Longmuir, Luke McFarlane, Paul Medhurst, David Mundy, Shane Parker, Matthew Pavlich, Brett Peake, Graham Polak, Aaron Sanderlands, Byron Shammer, Jared Schofield, interesting with the tat, Scotty Thornton, a.k.a. The Vampire, and James Walker.
Mate, great team. And,
Can I just...
The Wiz...
I loved his hair.
but,
That's got to be the good, surely.
Mate, the Wizard's hair. I can't say I was a massive fan of long-haired Wizard. I think I like the short hair.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I always think of him in the long sleeve at Melbourne as my all-time favourite, as a guy from Tamble up. And, you know, man, like, I did love him at the Dockers, but and I guess the long hair was pretty awesome. It was good. Whatever he was wearing in 06, mate. Whatever he's wearing in 06.
Oh,
hey, Oz, let's get on to some GBD, mate. The good, the bad, and the dockery, because I've got a couple of things I want to talk about in this game. Mate, into some good for a start. Look, Hazelby's pretty elite in this game, mate. No bell, and really stood up against a pretty packed midfield of Harvey, Ball, Del Santo, and who was the other guy who's a good midfielder for him? Not Goddard, but yeah, those 3 are pretty good midfielders anyway. So really, really good stuff. 31 disposals, 7 marks. Dominated without Bell. And look, I just thought he played a really good game. And you forget how good Hazelby, although he was not the most athletic and he didn't even look athletic, didn't look like much of a footy player. Geez, he knew how to get the ball, and geez, he was smart. And, you know, Oz, he's kind of like something that we've really gone away from, like an actual smart footy player. And he's, you know, like, I know he didn't have left and right foot like Sam Mitchell, but he's a Sam Mitchell type. He just gets the ball.
Yes.
And he just knows where to kick it, knows where to put it. You know, and he's developing a pretty good relationship with the big Sandy as he went along. Look, mate, Grover, Super Grover. Thought he did a fantastic job on Hamill. Hamill was really limited, and he ended up with 19 disposals and 10 marks himself. So, mate, Grover off the halfback, even, like, not even as big as what he was. You know, a bit skinnier and a little bit more mobile, and looked really good. McFarlane and Pav both kicked 4 goals each, and they were very, very solid. A lot of soft free kicks, but we'll talk about that later in the dockery. Sandilands dominated around the ruck, but around the ground he was pretty average. But he's kind of growing. He's played 50 games, but Sandy, you can see he's bulking up. He was the heaviest player at the time, but you know, that kind of middle ground of Sandy's career where he couldn't mark it.
Yes.
And he has that Cat 10 mistake at the start, and we'll talk about that in the dockery.
35 hitouts.
Mate, J-Lo. Great around the ground, and the goal at the end, mate, just comes out of nowhere, really. And actually, Oz, you could argue that we kind of fell away a bit once J-Lo went out of the back line and into the ruck, and it was a very interesting move to continue to take Sandilands off, move J-Lo, and then Polak would have to move across, Thornton would have to move across, and it just changed the whole dynamics of the back line. And, you know, Connolly, I'm going to have I'm going to be fairly critical on Connolly in our second segment. But, you know, the idea, put McFarlane up forward, put J-Lo down back. Mate, J-Lo looked like he could have played down back for the next 5 years, mate. If it wasn't for the knee injury, man, he looks really good, really calm head,
composed,
just guides around. Now, is that maybe he's playing a little bit loose in defence, the old cloak role, the old Cameron Cloak and Jason Cloak role, but, you know, which everyone looks good at. But I think, he was pretty damn good, J-Lo. And to bob up at the end and kick the goal, man, and, like, when you look at that, it looks like it's going to be Pav all over. and just J-Lo comes from the side and just like plucks it
Yeah.
out of his hands, boom,
Yeah.
goes back. And I think his quote at the end was, all that was going in my mind was just kick it straight. And then he jumps into the crowd, and, you know, we've met the guy. He's a pretty mild-mannered kind of dude. You know, he's just a country bloke, and he went off. And it's probably one of those things, Oz, that you remember where you were at the time. And I'm going to put this to you, question without notice. Do you remember where you were at the time when J-Lo kicked the goal?
Yes, I was in it's not the southern stand, Subi side, that's when I used to sit first tier. Bottom ground tier, or whatever you call it.
Are you on the railway side or the
Oh no,
the other side?
I'm smack bang in the middle.
Oh, Subiaco end.
Yeah, so I'm behind the goals.
Oh, in the 3-tier stand.
Yeah, but I'm on ground
You're
level.
on the bottom tier, yeah.
And I'm
so you would have been behind it, mate.
Yeah.
Right
No. I'm not behind J-Lo, but I'm at that goal end.
Yeah. So I mean, you're watching the ball go into
Correct.
your goal end.
Yes.
Oh, mate, that would have been pretty exciting.
Yeah, fair to say that
Yeah.
I soiled myself. Yeah.
Fair bit of embraces.
Yes.
Were you with your brother at the time? mate?
No, I was with a good friend, Lynn. She actually converted me to supporting Freo live in person as opposed to on the TV. So, yeah.
Go to the games, mate.
Yes.
I remember I was down in sunny Tamblup. I watched the game with my good friend Jeremy Groves. Shout out to him. Just had another kid recently, so shout out to him and Kate. And, mate, we embraced like two men can only embrace after watching J-Lo kick the winning goal. We were in our lounge room at my house on the farm. Yeah. It must have been wouldn't have been September. Maybe it was just home for the holidays. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know if we're in school holidays. We couldn't have been.
Now, you've just thrown a question at me. I'm going to throw a question at you, Duck.
Yeah.
Are you telling me, Duck, that just before J-Lo kicks the goal, who's the last person?
I'm assuming it was the Wiz.
Yeah.
Did Wiz go and say, kick it in? Like, the person, unless they're like, all right, now, Oz, this could be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, you never know. It could, now, just because I'm the careless whisper man, I think he probably says put it between the big sticks, but I think the Wiz, because I've got such a bias towards him, I'm assuming the Wiz would have said, mate, just calm your heart rate, go through your routine.
Yep.
Routine is everything.
Winds approximately 1 kilometre per hour.
Yeah. Just aim it just inside that inside post.
Yep.
You know? But when I think the careless, he goes up and he goes, big sticks goal, little sticks point. So between the big sticks. But yeah, that's mate, is there anything better than a careless whisper? And I'd love to, next time we get a player on the show, I'm gonna say, what do people say to you before you have a set shot? What are they actually saying? Or I would actually love to get the careless man, Daniel Pearce, on the show just to say, can you talk us through what you used to say to the guy kicking the goal?
Yes.
Was it good luck? Was it big sticks? Was it calm your breathing? Was it go through your routine? Was it, mate, what are you doing tonight? Get his mind off it, see what's going on.
It's a shame, by the way, we don't do it's not really a shame, but it's if we had have looked at filming this live, having Daniel Pearce on the show actually improves the look of this particular pod by 100%.
Well,
but
mate, at the moment, I'm currently wearing a
Hawaiian shirt
and tracky pants with thongs, mate.
I'm wearing a bright orange hoodie.
Yeah.
And
what's that, Polytech, mate?
This is Poly High School from the US. We played them in a game of basketball. It gave us a good lesson.
Nice. Mate, any goods for you that I've missed out? Any players that really tickled you? I said Hazelby, Grover, McFarlane and Pav, Sandy and J-Lo. Anyone that you thought stood out a bit more as well?
Can I just quickly go on a tangent?
Yeah.
If you ever thought there was any debate between who is better out of Riewoldt and Pavlich, have a look at this game. And people who try and tell me that Matthew Pavlich, and by the way, a superb tint in the hair, young Matthew Pavlich there, a nice black dye, probably should have gone a little lighter on the shade. It was a bit too hardcore, but he's a young fella and he looked after his image. So I appreciate that. But not only did Pav mark, he kicked goals. Nicky Riewoldt could mark and run anyone around like a marathon. Absolute champion of the game aerobically. But he wasn't a straight kick as his career progressed, Duck.
Yeah, well,
Matthew
mate,
Pavlich on
all the way
other hand,
through, he was unreliable as a set shot.
The beginning he was okay, but then tailed off very quickly.
Yeah.
So don't try and tell me that Nicky Riewoldt is higher on the food chain in terms of, and this goes back to the, was it Jack Carrington-Jones' question, the 22 Pavs v 22 Nicky Riewoldts?
Oh, yeah.
Mate, don't tell me. Pav just gave him the big old schooling, mate.
Yeah.
There was. Did you see the one passage? If I finish on this, Duck.
Yeah.
and it was at a crucial point where Pav kicks this goal, and it's 2-on-1, including Riewoldt, and they back into him. Pav just outmarks them both, and then Riewoldt almost squirts some and then complains that he pushed him. No, he didn't touch it or push him out, mate. He's just better than you. Cop up!
Mate, do you like, this was the other thing that I found quite interesting. So I was listening to the podcast called Sacked on the weekend, or it might have even been, with Brendan Goddard, and he was saying apparently, well, the rumour is that if people didn't kick it and it hit Riewoldt on the chest, he would kick the ball over the fence and be like, go get that. Kick it, hit my chest. And you actually see, man, the St Kilda players hit him on the chest on the lead a fair few times. Now, I've seen Matthew Pavlich in his 370-odd games, however many he played. How many times does he actually get hit on the chest?
5.
Maybe 5, maybe 10. Like,
Fletch,
how many times is the ball like over his head? He's have to back into a pack. It's kicked on top of his head, so he's had to outmuscle someone. I mean, Riewoldt's getting silver service.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say Pavlich was never. No. So, mate, I would have to say Pav's always going to beat Riewoldt, mate. And you know what, Riewoldt, the knock on the shoulder always made me not like Riewoldt. The crying.
Yeah, look, I disregard that, really. I mean, that's just it is. But you know what? I mean, you could just tell when Hayes had the ball and we're streaming forward, Pav leads out. He's got that glint in his eye that I'm going to get hit on the boob here.
That's it.
Then, yeah.
All right, mate. Just to some bad.
Go.
Wiz and Medhurst both had a stinker. Look, Medhurst, like we've always talked about, he got too big, mate.
Yeah.
Too much time in the gym and just got too big, and he's trying to lead up and out-muscle people, and, he really just had to go back to his origins, which is sniffing around some feet and kicking some goals, like staying in the cage, mate. Medhurst's got to be in the cage, and a bit smaller, a bit skinnier would have done the job rather than putting on the bulk and slowing him down a bit. And the Wiz, mate, Stevie Baker did an absolute number on him, and I know him and Stevie Baker had some great battles.
Oh, boy.
I know they didn't particularly like each other, I think. Wiz might have smacked Wiz in the head and got a couple of weeks. Or
yeah,
Wiz
there was a game.
Same.
I was actually listening to
a couple of suspensions.
I was listening to a pod recently with Stevie Baker.
It was the sack pod again. Yeah.
And basically.
What did Milne say? He said when Stevie Baker had the free kick, he thought Wiz punched him. That's why he got the free kick. He's like, I thought Wiz had punched him. I was like,
no.
Thanks, Milne. And don't tell me Milne's better than the Wiz, mate.
Oh, no.
Don't give me that tripe.
No way.
Yeah, you got to be kidding me.
Break.
Mate. Polak, good with the ball, couldn't do anything good without the ball, but could not do anything with the ball, mate. And
he's one of those guys that looks like a fantastic footballer until he gets the ball in hand.
Oh, man, some of the stuff. Mate, the midfield had no defensive run, and I don't know whether that was the time or the coaching. Like, what was it? Just the era that no one ran back and no one ran hard back, or there was no defensive pressure. But pretty poor stuff there, mate. Walker tagged Harvey, as we know, and Harvey managed to have 25 disposals and kick 3 goals, 1. So yeah, good job there.
Choo-choo!
Mate, the umpiring are very undockery.
I know.
Mate, 5 goals from the umps, and they're all soft.
Now
they were all so soft.
This is my question. If we had this type of West Coast Eagle treatment with umpires, and yes, I've got the one eye patch on here. I've got the Eagle patch on. I'm not booing, but if we had this treatment week in and week out, what could have been?
Oh, mate.
I mean, the actual inside 50 free kicks. Inside 50 free kicks.
Yeah.
Unheard
of.
Like,
real soft, like, now you had your arms around it, like, what? It's just a marking contest, mate. Like, those 5 free kicks, mate, they are all, even Farmer gets a free kick holding the ball.
Yes.
And he punches it out of Goddard's hand. So, not really holding the ball. So, look, I mean, McFarlane gets a couple of real soft ones. Pavlich gets a couple of real soft ones, and it's just, I mean, it was pretty grim. And I know they were probably outmatched, and they were bigger than them, so the pressure comes from that. But I tell you what, we got a good run with the umpires.
Oh, it was amazing.
Very good run with that. I was like, what is this game, mate? Have we got this in a time capsule? Or is this what they play in the umpires' rooms in terms of before a Freo game? They're like, don't give them too many soft ones, because remember that time back in 2005 on a Friday night, we gave them heaps of soft ones.
But it's also, if you can recall, during the week, I believe there was heavy criticism on the umpires from Thomas.
Yeah.
And every time there was a free kick, they'd flash up and he's,
Yeah, or give him, let him off for that one. That was quite interesting, mate. A couple of Dockery things. The first goal, Sandy drops an absolute sitter. That's a Cat 10 mistake by Sandy. Polak kicked it straight into the man, another cat 10, dodged around someone, then kicked it straight into Del Sando. I think that was for their second goal. Medhurst, mate, takes a mark, and then they call play. The umpire calls play on. So he gets pinged holding the ball, which is always, the umpires usually blow the whistle straight away. No, ball it up. No, holding the ball. Medhurst gives him a mouthful, 50 metres. I think they kicked a goal from that as well. Mate, Dermy defending Scotty Thornton's deliberate, which is, like, in this day and age, the most deliberate thing I've ever seen in my life. And Dermy's like, no, there's someone next to him, so it can't be deliberate. I was like, man, how the times have changed. Gary Lyon's like, mate, you're an idiot. Like, I think, you know, you look back then, you're like, man, Dermy sucked back then. How's he still got a job? He's so funny. Luke McFarlane misses a goal from about 10 metres out and then kicks the most mongrel bender from 50 out and it bends in.
The other way,
Mate, Parker playing knuckles with the G-Train I found very Dockery as well. Like, only... And then, you know, actually, this isn't too much Dockery, mate, but I miss Doc Larkins. Doc Larkins is great on the bench.
Side,
Mate, and how many times did he make a mistake with what was wrong? And then he go, oh, actually, I was speaking to the Meadow goes, it's not a groin, it's his hamstring. Or he's like, oh, Kaczynski's done his calf, comes off, he's got quad. It's like, oh... Okay, well all right, the doc. Hey, Oz, just quickly before we go to a break, let's get into these mixed teams.
Okay.
Can
I just comment on the G-Train? I don't think
the G-Train, mate. Let's talk about it.
I just don't think we've given him enough credit here because he is his own force, the mullet, the brute strength.
He's a big boy.
The way he was just able to outmuscle players and stuff, and I guess the way the game was played was changing rapidly and, you know, fast becoming out of date, you know, whatever. But having a key forward like that and just he either marks it or brings it to ground.
Mate, how good would have the G-Train been on the Dockers sides? Because literally the whole point is bomb it into G-Train.
Yeah.
He doesn't lead much. He's got a little burst of lead, but his strength means that he can win one-on-one competition. Now, the G-Train probably in this day and age would be beaten because the third man up, cuts off, intercepts. There'd always be the thing, right, get in front of the G-Train, come back and help out Parker or whoever would be on him. But I mean, like, if you flip those teams and the G-Train's on the Dockers, mate, he would be kicking thousands of goals, mate. Because we just bomb it into him. And, like, I guess that's the thing, isn't it, is that, you know, the like Fraser Gehrig on the Saints, they don't really, like, this is where the coaching I thought was so poor. It's like, all right, they lose it. They put Riewoldt in the back line, to me, is just like the stupidest idea anyway, because you've got to win the game. You can't just not win it.
Yeah.
So they put Riewoldt in the back line, stupid decision. Then they're like, all right, we'll just, like, the entry should have been like, let's just get it into G-Train. Let's get it in as quick as we can. You don't have to kick it in front of him. Just kick it near him.
Yep.
And he's going to outmuscle Parker because he's got about 40 kilos on him.
Yep.
And Parker's,
or cop a free kick, maybe.
Or get a free, or potentially get some soft free kicks. And, you know, G-Train probably should have got one soft one that they didn't pay. But, you know, like, I just thought the coaching on both sides was average.
It was pretty average. Now, something, again, on G-Train, a good mate of mine, shout out Murph, how you going? His brother, Shauno, was a PT down at Brighton gym, and G-Train used to frequent the old gym post St Kilda stuff. So he'd do his work at St Kilda and come down and bench and, you know, pump some weights, eat some cakes, just keep going. He goes, his form was abhorrent, but the amount that he was lifting was redonkulous.
Mate, do you want to hear another G-Train story?
Here we go.
G-Train, mate, so when I was my brother was in must have been in year 7, he won the GWN Country Footballer, Junior Footballer of the Year. Now, I need to ask my mum and dad how he got nominated. I don't even know how he got nominated, but he won the whole competition, all right? Sticks, not the world's best footy player, just an honest country footy player.
Yeah.
You know? G-Train came down. He was at the Eagles at the time, and Barry Cable. And G-Train, mate, was the biggest human being I'd seen in my life at that stage. And he wasn't like on the main list. He was on the main list, but he was just like he was a rookie.
Yeah.
But he was a behemoth of a man already. You know, it's unbelievable.
It's interesting that he didn't quite, you know, reach his potential at the Eagles. I don't know. They were trying to find out where he was, but, you know, obviously he becomes this brute of a guy down at St Kilda. Yeah. And he showed glimpses in, you know, that spin move and all that sort of stuff. That's part of his highlight reel. But interesting, mate.
All right, mate, quickly on to the mixed teams, okay? This is the Bahundi Williams mixed teams. Who would make it into the best 22 but with the mixed teams, mate? And mine is very much 2005 Dockers, mate.
Yeah.
But you go first. You name your whole team and then I'll name mine, mate.
Well, they're all out of position because I just try to squeeze them in where possible. So it's a bit out there. But backline, I've got Hamling, Parker, Grover. And then halfback, I've got Ryan, McFarlane, Wilson. Centreline, I've got Hill, Fife, and Black. And then half forward, I've got Medhurst, Pavlich, and Farmer. Even though both of them are around donuts, that's Medhurst and Farmer. I'd take both of them. They were just fantastic players. Forward, I've got Sonny, Lobb, and Longmuir. So I've gone for height.
Yeah.
And then the followers, I have Sandy, Hazelby, and Mundy. Cop that if you don't mind. And then the interchange, I've got Josh Carr, who's a bit stiff not to start because I thought he played a great game. And along with Paul Hazelby, by the way, one of the best looking one-handed runners with the football. Just, loves to run it with one hand. Cook and Thornton.
Nice, mate. I've gone Ryan Grover, Hamling, Thornton, Polak, Mundy, young Mundy that is, on the halfback flank. Black, J. Carr, Hill, Sonny, McFarlane at centre-half forward. M. Carr, Farmer, Pav, Medhurst, Sandy, Hazelby, Fife,
Oh, boy.
Lobb, J-Lo, Brayshaw, and Cook on the bench,
Yep.
rounding off my team, mate.
Yep.
So, good mixed team. Hey, let's go to a break. When we come back, we've got the 2005 season as a whole. We'll have a chat about that, and I've got some Chris Connolly hot takes, mate.
Oh, here we go. Come on. Come on, Duck. Have you ever had problems with computers, mate? Look.
Every day of my life, mate, is a problem with the computer.
Well, you know what, mate? I've got a solution for you, buddy. Just Make It Work will take care of all your IT problems and help you use technology to reach more people, make more money, and waste less time. You can relax knowing you're in the hands of real Dockers supporters. Get on to jmiw.it. Call or email and mention the Purple Rain for 20% off your first project with Just Make It Work, Duck. I suggest you get around it.
Welcome back to episode 6 of the Re-Dockables.
Re-Dockables.
We're looking at 2005. So we jumped a couple of years ahead, guys. 2005, Chris Connolly is the coach. Peter Bell's the captain.
Who was missing on the day?
We've made a final in 2003 with quite a good side. We've gone 11-11 in 2004, and we've gone back to 11-11 in 2005, mate. Some interesting stuff. All-Australian Matthew Pavlich, the only All-Australian for that year. I think he kicked like 30 goals in the last 5 matches they were talking about. Had a real hot run towards the end of the year. Troy Cook, the best clubman. Mundy wins the Beacon Award. Pav, the leading goal kicker with 61 goals. Mundy, a rising star, round 14 versus Port Adelaide, and ends up coming third to Delidio and Ryan Griffin. So I'd actually say Mundy's better than both those players, wouldn't you, Oz?
Yeah, each year he's a bit stiff not to win the Rising Star.
Yeah, but I mean, he was shout out to the Doka. Yeah, every year. I mean, how he hasn't won the Rising Star year after year. He's so young. But the Doig, mate, Pav, Bell, Parker, Black, Hazelby, Thornton, Farmer, Grover, J-Lo, and Luke Mack, mate. And
how Hayes doesn't finish in the top 2.
Yeah, I mean, he just has games where he's... I mean, when Bell plays, I think they were a bit similar. You know, they were similar players.
What?
So
I actually agree with that. And there's some of the things just watching this game, I'm like, do we underappreciate the impact of Hazelby because he wasn't a flashy midfielder? He was just really smart, calculated, did what he had to do, but he didn't have the burst of pace like a Jard and stand out like an Ablett. But he was just as critical in what we were as a football club.
I think as well, the thing with Hayes, he'll go down as like probably the Dockers' greatest ever derby player, which is kind of like our big game man. So maybe he is like the best big game player. But I mean, the thing with Hazelby as well that you forget is that he started like a bloody German marching band. He just continued his whole career. Mate, his first game, he gets 30 touches and kicks 2 goals. And he just continues that throughout his whole career. And I think it's a bit of an underappreciated career. I'm really devastated how it just like stopped in 2010.
Yeah.
You know, he pretty much got forced to retire through injury, and I would have loved to him to play that final. You know, at halftime, I got really G'd up when he was walking around giving it the fist.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's become a pundit, and you know, he's a good man, Paul Hasleby, mate. I know he went up and played at Northampton with his brother and stuff like that. So you know, he wants to give back, and he was at South Freo, and you know, that's the thing that annoys me. He's at South Freo, he's telling the Dockers, you know, Tim Kelly, you know, Marlon Pickett, these guys are good players, you should get them, and Hayden Schleith, yeah. But you know, what do you do there, mate? Look, I've got to ask you this question, mate.
Go.
This team going 11-11,
Yep.
and in my opinion, it is pretty devastating. And even in 2004, mate, so we make the finals, we go 11-11, then we go 11-11 again. Mate, if you look at the guys who played throughout the whole year, Black, Carr, Hazelby, Medhurst, Parker, Pavlich, Thornton, Longmuir, Cook, Farmer, Grover, McFarlane, Bell, Sandilands, Mundy, Dodd, Shammer, Headland, Polak, Carr, Walker, Crowley, Johnson, Webster, Murphy, Schofield, Peake, McManus, Smith, Seagate, Woods, Hadrill, Dunn, and Gilmore, mate. And like, in that game, we had 12 guys who had already played 100 games. You're looking at Parker, Schofield, Black, Hazelby, Pavlich, J-Lo, Farmer, Cook, Walker, Bell, Josh Carr and Matthew Carr. You know, we had 6 guys who had already played 50 games. We ended up having these guys who are club legends. Yeah. You know, man, like if you look
played
at
under that time. Yep.
Well, like if you look at our 25 and 25, majority of those guys played during that time. You know, so you've really got to think, Oz. You've really got to look back and go, all right, 2006,
16 and 9.
We make a prelim.
Yep.
Okay. But the rest of the time, mate, it's abhorrent underachieving under Connolly.
Yeah, look,
and
I agree.
Coaching, man, like I was talking to my brother about it, and he's like, mate, he was just a spruiker. He wasn't much of a coach. And like the coaching's actually pretty terrible if you look at that. And you look at that team, and mate, I'd go as far as saying it's like the 05, 06, even the 04, 03 teams are all more talented than the teams from 13 through to 15. You know, 12, 13, 14, and 15. I think those teams don't have a sniff on, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You know, like you look at that talent, mate. The small forwards are much better. Like Medhurst and Farmer are just better than Ballantyne. You know, guys like Mzungu, there's better play. You know, you got Shammer and Walker and players like that instead of Pearce and Mzungu and things like that. And Sandilands, yeah, he's probably better as he's older. But, you know, McFarlane in 06 is at his peak. Pavlich in 05 and 06 are at their peak. You know, Hazelby's at his peak. You know, you're looking at Hazelby and Bell versus someone like a Fife, you know, and a Subin and something like that, you know, in the midfield or, Mundy's obviously a lot better as a midfielder in those later years. So, look, there are the pros and cons, but, man, I really think, Oz, you've got to break the Dockers into three periods. Okay, period 1 is Jared Neesham and Damien Drum, and even Damien Drum, actually, no, I won't, Jared Neesham. And Jared Neesham, as much as he was great with his tacticians and stuff like that, his non-belief in the draft absolutely kills us. And you can go back and look at everything, but it just murders us. Then you've got, so Phil Smart's in that regime a bit, but then you've got Phil Smart under Damien Drum and Chris Connolly. Mate, Phil Smart, I always thought, and it might have been the echo chamber of my old man, Phil Smart, mate, how did he lose his job? He picks so many good players, rookie-listed players, first-rounders, second-rounders, third-rounders, mate. He gets so many good, talented players into that club, mate, and Connolly can't develop them because he's a spruiker. He wants to get the club up and about. He's not an actual tactician. Then you've got the Brad Lloyd and, you know, Lyon, and you can see it now, mate. The reason why, and the last draft, I'm pretty sure the last draft Phil Smart did was like 09 or 010. It might have been the one with Fife. It might have not been. I can't remember. I think it was the one with Fife, and then he left the Dockers. But Brad Lloyd's come in, and you can say what you want about Brad Lloyd, but just go back and have a look at the draft, mate. He's made terrible pick after terrible pick. First rounders, Tommy Sheridan, Jaden Pitt, bloody Aptness. You know, even if you're looking at guys now, like, how's Lowe going to go? How's Chera and Brayshaw going to go? And there's been so many players that seem to be better than those blokes. You know, I probably can't say Chera and Brayshaw and Brayshaw under Lloyd. I don't know. He already left. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like our recruiting is in 3 sections. no draft, which is just mental, draft under Phil Smart, which is really good, and then draft under Brad Lloyd, which is just not great. And it's the reason we're in where we are now. But the problem is that Neesham's a good coach. Drum and Connolly are not good coaches. Harvey's all right, but then Lyon is a great coach. So, we've never had that really good coach, really good recruitment, really good footy operations, everything being in there. And I'll take a quote off my brother. He's like, what do you say? You've got to get all the people on the bus for a start. So get all the experts in there for a start, then decide where the bus is going. So we need the best people down at the club. And, you hear Ross Lyon speak, and we're already handicapped, mate, because Victorian players have no interest in coming to the Dockers. You listen to Brendan Goddard on the Sacked. What do you say? He goes, Brad Lloyd, I was good friends with him. Ross Lyon, he's the best coach I've ever had. They offered me more money than anyone else, and I said no for a start. So he knew he got more money than what he got. He got offered more money than what he got at Essendon, and he knew that was a starting point. So he could have got even more money. Yet he still chose not to come to Western Australia.
Same with Cale Hooker.
Mate, Cale Hooker, that was a loyalty thing.
Shout out
Alex
Tom Hager.
Rance, don't get him. Mate, old mate, Frawley. Ross just got there and was like, oh, hey, mate, sip the old coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, mate, you're just trying to bust up the price. Cloak, never really interested. Riewoldt, never really interested. All these guys are using us for leverage. So, I mean, we're not like a West Coast Eagles where they have got the prestige, they've got the history, they've got the recognition. We're the other team in Western Australia, which is a massive hindrance already.
Well, I think now, just to give you a bit of a break there, mate, I think now you're so right in what you're saying. I think the recruitment has to be bang on in order to give us the best opportunity to move forward. And it can't just be the coach. And I think I certainly have been at fault in the past going, coaching isn't this or it's not that because, as a passionate supporter, it's results driven. But you've got to go behind the scenes. And I think more so in our pods, probably going, back 3 or so years now, we've been saying that it has to be a whole club investment. Yeah. And we have to look at recruitment because you can only coach who you've got in front of you. And I think that's really important that we take that into consideration. There's more to it than just seeing someone play on the weekend and some highlight tapes. You got to have a look at what are you trying to build with this group? Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? And rather than necessarily we're going with the best player at that pick, have a look at your deficiencies. Have a look at where this team can be going forward because you can't rely on players potentially coming in. I mean, look, we've had a great run at trying to get WA players back. Yeah. But that's,
it costs you, mate. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah. And going back to what you're saying there, I mean, if you look at those coaches, in those runs, Neesham's best run, 10 wins in a season. Like you said, Chris Connolly, 16 wins in a season, which is 2006, obviously, when we go on that tear towards the end. But I reckon that was more player-driven than coaching-driven. Yeah. The players had that belief.
The players were all in their peak,
and that's, the Wiz was saying that they believed, when we interviewed him at the 25 and 25, he just thought, that's it, we can beat anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
But then you look at Harvey's best effort was 14. It's not bad, but he's got mediocre in between 6 and 9. Yeah. And then obviously Lions run at 15, 18, and then 18 again and 15. But
you got to say as well with Lyon, he doesn't have the cattle there a lot of the time. He's just getting the absolute most out of the worker bees. Yeah. And then once the talent drops off because we didn't, we're good, so we're going to get less talented players. But we're still getting picks in the, the 15th, 16th best player in the under 18s. Like if you miss on that. And then the other thing that needs to be talked about is just everything in terms of can we actually bring in the best talent in assistant coaches? Can we bring in the best talent for sports and rec? Yes. Do we need to develop pure WA talent? Or should we be looking and saying, look, we're a WA side. Let's be WA based. Let's get the best WA talent. And, like I always talk about, and this is my biggest problem, is I'm hypocritical in the fact that I say we should go after WA talent all the time. It should be WA talent first when we draft because the go-home factor is 0. And those guys grow up and they become heroes of WA and of Fremantle. And, I was very, very confused with, Dylan Robertson and Sarong. Like, Sarong might turn out to be a way better player and I could, I'll eat my words. And Sarong does look like a good player. But it looked like Robertson and Sarong were pretty similar players. Robertson's from West Australia, Sarong's from Victoria. What's the point? You know, like we look at Norton, who was in our backyard, Tim English, you know, players like that we could have picked up, and instead we go for, you know, in Tim English's case, it was Logue, which was good. We picked up a WA player. So that's where I've got to be able to say, I got to back Logue all the way. You know, so we've got to be able to pick up WA talent all the time. But, you know, you look at the core, like we were talking about, what is the core of the Eagles team? Barras, Claremont. McGovern, Claremont. You know, JK, West Australian. I think he was at, I don't know, East Fremantle. You know, Darling, West Perth. You know, you've got Sheed, who's a great player, Nat Nui, you know, all these guys who are good WA players. Shepherd, you know, and they've gone WA strong. And then there's the odd guy here and there that they bring in to fill in the gap, you know, to make the difference. And they're mainly from South Australia. You know, guys that probably won't go home, and they treat them like they are West Australians, you know. So that's the thing. Like, we as much as we don't want to be the West Coast Eagles, they are the you know, the marker at the moment for West Australian clubs and for AFL clubs in general. You know, like, it's pretty grim to say this, but if we were anything like the Eagles, mate, we'd be so successful. You know, but unfortunately, it's got to be, and this is where I hope Garlick, Orcott, Bell, and J-Lo get together in this time now, and J-Lo's had a look, Bell's had a look. They've had a look at everyone who's in there. Now, they had a look from Bell to Lyon, from Lyon to J-Lo, and they decided that nothing needed to change except for the CEO and the head coach.
To begin with.
So now, mate, if everyone's gone, now you've got to build it up again. We've got to start from the ground again. We've got to start with assistants, good senior assistants, good assistant coaches. Look in the waffle. Who are the talented guys coming up? Who are the guys who actually show a bit of promise and show a bit about them? You know, even that bloke who's from Subiaco got the Colts team into the flag, and now he's good enough to coach the Subiaco League team, which is nearly like an AFL side. You know, young bloke, forgotten his name. You know, you got to look at these guys who are in the system, in the waffle level, who are good coaches coming up and through. Because that's where they've got to come from. Because we're not going to be able to get someone to come from Victoria over to WA and to Fremantle, you know, in particular.
And look, interestingly as well, you mentioned the idea of Victorian players not wanting to come over. I think one of the major advantages that we've had for, you know, probably 2-3 years now has been the facilities down at Coburn. But that's fast changing now. Everyone is upgrading all of their facilities. So you need to take advantage of, you know, the comparative advantage that we've got at the moment, which is, of course, the facilities, the Optus Stadium, you know, the crowds potentially that we can get. The downside to that, obviously, is the amount of travel. I mean, it's clear, it's been made very clear that the AFL has zero interest in that, you know, WA travel, because they don't really care about that. But we know that it's an issue for Victorian players wanting to come over. I mean, you know, just have a look at how many 300-game players that we've got. So I think rather than, and I totally agree with what you're saying, you know, in terms of what we need to do, but I want to be positive and say that on the flip side to that, we have so many positives going right now for Freo. We've got new coach, buoyant attitude, players up and about. We've got a brand new stadium. We've got close to brand new facilities. We've got good people working around in those areas. We just need to get back on board. Yeah. And once footy starts and once we see that passion get back on there, you know, we started to see, even through the preseason, we started to see a different system, more attacking, more exciting. I started thinking, I'm really looking forward to going back to the footy, watching an attacking style of footy, getting around it, supporting the players. We're trying to get around the players as well, introduce new boys to the wider audience. It's incumbent upon us as supporters as well to get behind the club too. And I think that's something else that really should be added to that equation, which is obviously the football department, yes, but it's also what we can do to help elevate the club to make it better. Demand nothing but the best.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And yeah,
you know, and like that, there were. I mean, the amount of comments I saw when Pearce got injured. I mean, man, it baffles me that the only club that gets a major injury during the coronavirus lockdown is the Dockers. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like, what are we doing, man? Like, what's going on? Like, I know it's probably on the player. He's in Tasmania, I think. If he's in Burnie, I probably wouldn't be in Burnie. That's like one of the hot spots. I know my mate lives there. But that's where he's from. But, you know, what do you do, man? Like, what are you doing? Like, and what's going on? And that serious questions need to be asked. And, like, we can't afford, and this is the kind of the 4-prong thing that we always talk about. Our recruitment's been so-so. Our drafting so-so. You know, we talked about Ross Lyon. Is he, you know, what's going on with him back in the day? You know, but our injuries as well, man. Like, we don't have key players out on the park, and it's a massive problem. And we can't afford to lose anyone at this current time. You know, we don't have the depth. Like, you look at that back of that side in 05, they could lose a couple of players. A couple of blokes could come in, you know, that they've got depth. Whereas this team, our depth is lacking big time, especially in key position players, you know, especially that. So, you know, what do you do, Oz? Anyway, Oz, do you want to do the music quiz as a bit of a change-up,
Yeah, mate. Look, we'll mix it up and get a little bit excited about this one. Get your pen out, mate.
Yeah, I'm getting my pen out.
Here
In the
we
end,
go.
mate, sorry, the end thesis of that is that Chris Connolly wasn't a good coach. I don't know. I'm going with that.
All right, here we go. This is the 2005 Triple J Hottest 100, starting with this. Number 10. Number 9.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Zach Clark.
Ah, Festival Central. Number 8. Actually saw these guys live, shout out Murph, in a pub in Queensland. Rizzy.
Oh, God.
Number 7. Number 6. You're only getting 15 seconds of this intro, mate. It's classic. Number 5. It's there. Up to number 4.
These are bangers, mate.
Now, mate, these are bangers. Now, controversially, this next one that's coming up is number 3, obviously. In my opinion, should have been number 1.
Ooh. Looking forward to it, Oz. Oh. I used to listen to this a lot on my mate's iPod. Shout out to you, Chucky. Just listen to his iPod.
Number 2. How can this beat number 3? But anyway. And number 1, the love affair with this bloke keeps going.
Oh.
Up so early, feels so bright. I didn't get much sleep last night. A freight train rattled through my head.
All right, Duck.
Right, you want answers or you
Go.
want?
No,
you want to go to
I'm
break?
going to tell you. No, let's just keep going. Keep rolling.
Let me guess.
Go.
All right. Number 10 was Franz Ferdinand.
Yes, do
I
you
think-
want to?
Yeah, do you want to?
Mm-hmm.
Number 9 was Wolfmother.
Correct.
I don't know which one it was.
Joker and the Thief.
Joker and the Thief.
Yep.
Thought so. Number 8, no clue.
Oh, yeah, end of fashion.
Oh, yeah. Number 7, White Stripes.
Correct.
Doorbell.
My doorbell, yep.
Number 6, Wolfmother.
Mind's Eye.
Mind's Eye.
Close to Brown Eye.
Number 6, Gorillas. Dare.
Yes, correct.
Oh, number 5, sorry.
Yep.
Number 4, Franz Ferdinand.
No.
No, Foo Fighters.
Yes,
the best.
correct.
Sorry, I put
Best
FF.
of you, yep.
Number 3, Gorillas. Feel Good.
Yep.
Number 2, Ben Lee.
Yep.
Is it called Like It, that song?
No, it's called Catch My Disease.
Catch My Disease. Ugh.
Ugh.
Topical.
Don't know if you be saying that right now, baby.
Topical Oz. And Bernard Fanning, Wish You Well.
Wish you well, just like those Fuso trucks.
Oh, very nice.
Shout out, Wags. How you going there, mate?
Oz, let's go to a break now. When we come back, we've got listeners' questions. Welcome back to episode 6 of the Re-Dockables. We looked at the J-Lo game, round 21 versus St Kilda 2005. We've looked at 2005 in a little bit more depth. We've argued whether or not Chris Connolly was a good coach. Well, we didn't really argue. I just said he wasn't very good. And Oz, you kind of agreed. And then we went on a bit of a tangent for ages about what's going on with the club at the moment. But music quiz was just sent, but now it's listeners' questions, Oz. Do you want to kick us off or do you want me to?
You go.
Okay, Jack Carrington-Jones has asked, 22 versus 22, the JKJ Cup as I like to call it. 22 Whizzes versus 22 Peterbilts, a.k.a. TA versus KO.
Oh, coaching up versus TA Dot, the big tamble up.
Who wins?
I just have too much respect for both players here. Look,
Nah,
Peterbilt.
There's an easy answer. Peterbilt wins.
Peterbilt.
Peterbilt wins just in the pure fact that...
Would you not pay to see this, though? Can you imagine the sort of stuff Jeff Farmer would be doing? Like the
22
sneaky...
Jeff Farmers, mate? 22 Jeff Farmers, mate. It would be unbelievable.
Okay, if you know what would make this question even better?
What?
The different versions of each player as they progress throughout. So, like, the whole forward pocket is Jeff Farmer peak.
Yeah.
Back pocket, angry Jeff Farmer.
Yeah.
All the way through. Centre square, Jeff Farmer long hair.
Oh.
Like, just in general.
I
don't
like
know.
that, mate.
Be
It'd be good. It'd be very, very interesting,
Oh,
mate.
boy.
But
Who you going with? You going Peterbilt?
my heart says Wiz, but my
Yeah.
head says Bell.
I can't
Yeah.
believe you said that, mate.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone in Tamble Up, I hope you're listening. He's just gone against the Wiz.
Mate, all I know is that Tamble Up, last time coaching up won a flag in the GSFL, mate. It was half Tamble Up players. And Tamble Up won one in 98, mate, so don't worry. I know when your last flag was coaching up, you had to bloody leave the competition, mate. Anyway, mate, yours.
Andrew Giumelli. Was Paul Duffield the most underrated Docker? After his retirement, we really struggled to get the ball outside D50. A big reason why we couldn't even beat an egg for the majority of 2016.
Man, Duffman was good, wasn't he, Oz? He was, in terms of underrated Dockers, I'd say he's up there. I think, like, if you're going AFL underrated, I think David Mundy.
Yes.
I think actually Sandlands is pretty underrated as well, man. Like, I think he, as a ruckman, was probably the best ruckman in the competition for 4 years in a row.
Yep.
Like, once Cox started to wane and, you know, from 13, 14, 15, 12, 13, 14, 15, Sandlands is the best ruckman in the competition. I think that Mundy has been super underrated for a long time, and if he was in Melbourne, they would be talking about him like Pendlebury, if not better.
Yep.
I think that, you know, guys like McFarlane are underrated competition-wise, but in terms of Dockers, internal Dockers,
Yes.
I think you've really got to look at guys like, I think Thornton was super underrated, and he was very unlucky to be injury-prone. I think... Jeez, mate, that's grim. I think... yeah, I'd have to say Duffield. It's always backline players for the Dockers are going to be underrated. Like Grover.
Grover.
Is
I was
he
just going to say
underrated?
Grover.
Is Parker underrated to a sense? Like, I feel like
Crab,
I
crustacean.
always
The original
bag
crustacean.
out the old nosy Parker, mate, but he was pretty solid. And some people got stuck into me on Big Footy about, you know, whether or not my criticism of Parker in the Dockers 25. But Parker, man, he had a job every week. He was always put on the biggest player. He was overmatched. Like, you know, like he's undersized, you know, and he was pretty underrated. Overrated, mate? Most overrated player? Who do you reckon? Not underrated, overrated.
Overrated.
Most overrated Dockers. Who do you reckon I'm going to say?
Well, of course, you're going to go with the favourite
My man,
son.
Shawnee Mac.
The favourite
The
son.
most overrated Docker there has been. But Andrew, I'm going to say that's a great call on Paul Duffield being underrated, mate. Rookie listed player, really good.
Yeah.
Of course, the nephew of Mark Duffield, one of the great journos. But Oz, let's go into Leone Turbo.
Yes.
This is one of my favourite games. Was it the most exciting last 5 minutes of a game ever? And how amazing was Luke McFarlane?
Yeah, Luke McFarlane was an absolute treat to watch. And you could just see how versatile he was and why we went for the trade that people talk about because obviously the Hodge and the so forth. But guess what? We got Lukey Mack out of it. You know, that's my argument.
Yeah, I guess if we trade Luke Mack for pick, I think it was pick 12 and 33. If we just trade him for pick 12, the trade ends up being awesome.
Yep.
And we get, like, I mean, that the fact of the matter is we've got to beat Polak at number 1, no matter what.
Yeah, I know.
So we get Polak, but then everyone pushes back one, and then we get Judd at 4.
Now, rumor has it the draft day, Kevin Costner actually studied a fair bit of Freo footage for that line.
Cameron Schwab.
Vontae Mack, no matter what.
Graham Polak, no matter
what.
Baby. It's the last 5 minutes of that game. Is it the most exciting?
It's right up there, but I wouldn't say it's the most exciting. I mean, I love the Richmond game. For me, the Richmond game still...
Oh, my God, the Richmond game. I just... That is like... The roller coaster of emotions in the Richmond game, and that was on Mother's Day.
It was on Mother's Day.
So it was about this time 3 years ago?
Yes.
I think it was. It's the year they won the flag, so it must have been 3 years ago. Yeah. So the emotion of the Dockers being up by so much, Richmond storming home, us giving away a terrible goal in the last 20 seconds.
Yep.
Me and my brother I was on my phone, he's on the iPad because the game's obviously delayed, like in Melbourne but delayed on Channel 7. Swearing, ignoring our mum.
Yep.
Then we win, and it's like party time in our house, mate. And Monday, mate. Monday.
And I remember that. I remember that kick. I also remember having a bit of a verbal stoush with the neighbour at the back because we were watching it live, and I was obviously getting pumped because he's a Richmond supporter, and he was getting pumped. He was yelling stuff, and he's ahead of me because for some reason my delay was about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So when he starts screaming because of that last goal in 20 seconds, I'm like fuming, thinking, what is he talking about? Ah, crap! And then Mundy kicks. I'm like, you like them apples?
Mate, what a game.
Yeah,
what
mate.
a game.
Is it me?
No, it's me. No, did you?
Yeah, okay. Nathan Kelly, thoughts on Lyons' comments about how WA is paranoid and insecure about the East Coast. Is he just pulling a Kane Corns to get some more airtime?
No, mate, I'd have to say, I think Ross Lyon, I know he's had a soft start into the media, but, mate, he is a pearl. He's so good to listen to. Like, for some unknown reason, all right, Oz? Okay, so him and Damien Barrett have that coach show. All right. It is literally a podcast.
Yep.
They don't show any footage.
No.
It's just Damien Barrett's face and then Ross Lyon's face.
Yep.
And someone has commented, why isn't this a podcast, boys?
Yep.
Like, this is literally just audio. You don't need to...
No.
Like, I understand when they do the actual show, they'll break down plays and it's trying to get a bit more analytical. But at the moment, it can literally be a podcast. And, like, there's no reason why it can't be a podcast as well anyway. So, Ross Lyon and Damien Barrett, I know you're listening to us. Ross the boss loves us. But... how is this not a podcast? How is the coach not a podcast? And, you know, I was talking to a guy on Big Footy today, The Wiz, and he was we're talking about, you know, there's no real great analytical minds in Australian media.
Yes.
It's all, like, in American media, you listen to The Ringer, you listen to Lombardi, you listen to, you know, The Low Post, you know, you listen to ESPN stuff, and they've got actual experts on there, not just talking heads that are like, oh, yeah, mate, I reckon they... Like, they haven't got journos that don't have a clue, really, and they don't have ex-players that don't actually break down the game because they've gone media, not into coaching. They've gone media and that's it. You know, and even the old coaches are past the time already. You know, like the best special comments guys I've heard is Rodney Eade. And Rodney Eade's like, yep, they're doing this, they're doing that. And, like... I felt like people didn't like his special comments because he was actually saying what's going on in the game. He's like, they're pushing one extra up into the contest and that's allowing the other team to suck one back behind play. So they're winning at the coalface, but they're kicking it straight to the other bloke. So they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know. And he's like, well, man, son. So, guys, if you haven't heard that, the Will Minson, Rodney.
Get him off!
Rocket, be quiet. I can't hear anything.
Sorry.
Hey, big... Anyway, this is the last one for you. Are we insecure, Butters? Do you think West Australians are insecure?
Look, I definitely think we feel the distance between... And last week was just one of those weeks where I'm like, turn it up.
Yeah.
Turn it... I mean, last time I checked, with the exception of today... Excuse.
No training of 10 people is
Come
the biggest
on, mate.
joke, man.
And
you know what?
So are you telling me that if I kick a footy between me and you, just kicking a footy between us is okay.
Yeah.
But if we add a third person, that's going to win us a premiership.
Exactly.
Is that because we've struggled to hit targets like 1, 2, 3 in the past? Like chains
like
don't exist for us as always. You know?
It's always the second kick that kills us.
Give me a break.
Yeah, man. It's an absolute joke. And it was a really opportunity for the AFL to say, look, the Victorians do get an advantage. Yes, I know they get to, you know, they're playing at home versus other home teams, but they don't travel as much. So we will give everyone else, you know, if you're, and Oz, I understand the cost of it, but in a perfect world, why the AFL isn't reallocating to Western Australia, where we've absolutely squashed the coronavirus.
Yes.
Like, the levels are at minuscule levels. Hopefully there's no asymptomatic people in the community out there spreading it, and there's no super spreaders, which can be a big problem. But essentially, we are a world leader. We're not just like a leader within Australia. We are a world leader. Like, all the countries that have reopened everything up, Korea, Germany, mate, they're all... Mate, their rates are going right back up, whereas just WA, we're slowly opening things up. Everything's getting better. So,
and the argument about not having family is null and void because they can go out and actually shop, so they can actually have a life, unlike where they are.
Bring their family over.
Bring them over, mate.
Bring them over and let them
boost the economy.
Weeks.
McGowan, get you.
Test them. Just keep constant testing. Bring them over. Constant test all of them. Right, you have to spend a week in quarantine, but we'll just constantly test you all the time for the first 2 weeks. Go out, do whatever you want, enjoy the West Australia. Mate, beautiful day in May. Mate, it's 25 degrees today.
Mate, give me a break.
You're telling me. And, like, you're telling me that Optus Stadium couldn't handle 3 games in a week or 3 or 4 games in a week. And, like, you could play games at the Wacker, you could play games at Subiaco.
Oh, imagine footy back at the Wacker again.
Mate, Subiaco. It's got no grandstands. It's got a couple of park benches.
Just ask the school to step aside there for a...
Very interesting there. Last one, mate. Is it possible to turn the Len Hoare tribute match... This is from Adam Cleland. I love this question, mate. Is it possible to turn the Len Hoare tribute game into a game with a regular opponent? Try building up a rivalry with one of the bigger Melbourne teams with a large Perth supporter base, Hawthorn, Carlton, Geelong, potentially over the years, and turn it into a regular sellout. Get Victorian-based supporters who want to come over to Optus each year. Our version of the Anzac Day, a big call, I know, but possible nonetheless.
Yeah, look, we've seen in the past how we've been treated in terms of Anzac Day. Sorry, you can't have it because, you know, it's NCG. And they're so paranoid about losing the spectacle of Melbourne being the central focus point for football that they're not willing to expand and look wider, which is weird given that my understanding is that Gill's from South Australia. So I don't know why he's not looking, you know, elsewhere. But anyway, yes, I think this is a fantastic idea, mate. I think the idea of having a constant rival rather than changing teams gives us a fixture that we know is going to draw crowds, that is going to allow us to pump media in the week leading up to. We know the great job that the Freo media are doing at the moment. You know, imagine giving them, you know, knowing the same spot, the same, you know, like what they do with the same bloody game to start the freaking fixture. It's a piece of smelly
Carlton,
turd.
Bloody Richmond.
Who wants to see that crap?
Yeah.
Like,
Man,
give me a break.
All right, so let's go. Why can't... And I don't even mind if it's...
I didn't finish, by the way, but that's all right.
Sorry, mate.
No, that's all right.
I don't mind if it's even a small team. Like, I don't mind if it's bloody Western Bulldogs or whoever. Why can't it be Anzac Day in the evening? The game finishes at like 3 o'clock West Australia time. You have it beam into the TVs. It's on at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern States time till 10:30. Mate, you're telling me that's not a winner, a commercial winner, and like it doesn't give the Dockers the respect of the Len Hoare game, which it deserves.
That's what I was going to get to. My point exactly, Duck, is because of this Melbourne-centric idea of trying to keep as much as they can within Melbourne, what they're doing is essentially going against what we're trying to achieve, which is to pay our respects and to celebrate, you know, for us, what is an extremely important time. So I think that sort of one-eyed view that's coming out of AFL headquarters needs to change. Yeah. And I think it's very short-sighted from the AFL to not take the opportunity to amend the AFL competition in this regard, like to have a look at what's going on outside and try a few different things. Like, why does every, you know, we've joked about having everyone over here, but what's to say we look at the fixture and go, right, well, you were going to travel to Perth here, 4 weeks, bang. Okay, let's move them all over. So we've got potentially, 3-4 teams over here. Manage that. Then have 3 or 4 more teams in South Australia. So if you're so concerned about having, you know what I mean? Like, just make it.
Well, Mate, I can't see how we can have a hub in Victoria when they continue to have double-digit new cases.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I understand the moving, da-da-da-da-da-da. But, look, in the end, all you got to say to the players is, look, either we play and we get money or we don't play and we get no money. Now, do you want to sacrifice 1 year, even if it's at 50%, the players all have limited careers. 1 year of Dangerfield's career or whoever, is in charge of the AFLPA, 1 year of his career is $800,000, mate. He can't afford, if his career is only over 15 years, he can't afford to take that big chunk, out of his pay for his overall career. And so can't all these other players. So, mate, the pressure's just got to be put on them. Do you want money? Because this is what will come down to money. All right? And if you really want to put the squeeze on them, and I can't see games going ahead in Victoria, man. Not with how they have not squashed this. They've got limited control over this thing over there. There's clusters popping up. They got idiots out there bloody protesting in the streets like a bunch of morons, mate. What do we have in West Australia? 4 people at Kings Park standing far apart with masks on. Bring it to West Australia. It's ready to go. Now, Oz, I've got a crazy idea for you, mate, that I've been working on. So guys, this is and I'd have to shout out Rendog for this idea because he's very much a waffle man. He loves West Australia. He's all about seceding. He's all about WA, digging a big hole and just floating away. But, mate, if Western Australia... Okay, we've just got the news, mate. Oh, hello.
Left field ideas.
Let's let it play out.
Left field ideas by Duck.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. That's a long way back, mate.
Yeah, it's a long way back.
Now, Oz, we've just had the news that the Waffle won't have any AFL-listed players. But I'm flipping that now, mate. Okay, this is what they should do. The WA, let's just say big up yours to the rest of the AFL, and let's go back to Waffle footy. If we can get people at the grounds, if we can get Waffle footy up and going again, let's make it a spectacle, mate. So what I'm proposing is old school. If you come from that club, you go back to that club. Okay, so South Fremantle would have Archie, Kelly, Matera, and Cam-Mac. This is Dockers and Eagles. Subi would have Ainsworth, Foley, Ryan, and Sheed. West Perth, Allen, Darling, Johnson, Rotham, Akers, and Hill. Claremont, Barras, Jamison, McGovern, Tracy, Waterman, Francis, Banfield, Butters, Carter, Collier, Fife, Hamling, and Hogan.
Oh.
Swans would have Cameron, Edwards, Jeddah, Nick Nat, Blakely, Hughes, Lobb, Logue, Sonny, and Toby Watson.
Oh, boy.
East Freo, Cripps, Kennedy, Shepherd, Yo, and O'Reilly. East Perth, Hutchings. Perth, Conker, and Peel, Wilson. So you think,
Oh, geez, East Perth are in a bit of trouble.
East Perth, and Peel are in a bit of trouble. However,
red legs.
Oz, everyone who's left over, so the likes of Brander, Brayshaw, Cole, Duggan, Gaff, Hickey, Hearn, Jones, Nelson, O'Neill, Petricelli, Redden, Rioli, Schofield, Shuey, Vardy, Venables, Williams, Ace, Brewerley, Brayshaw, Chera, Cox, Crowden, Darcy, Dixon, Dooman, Fredericks, Gyro, Meek, Mundy, North, Pierce, Ryan, Schultz, Sarong, Sturt, Switkowski, Tabs, Tucker, Valenti and Young, and Thomas, Pina and Henry. We're chucking them back in because for some reason they're coming up as Claremont guys. Chuck all those guys back into the pot, and the draft would go like this, Oz. Now, because East Perth is my team, and also Hutchings is the worst out of Conker, Wilson, or Hutchings.
Yeah, true.
All right. The draft would go East Perth, Perth, Peel, first round. So they pick all one player each.
Right.
Then Peel, Perth, and East Perth pick another player each.
Jeez, we're stuck in this middle. I don't like this. We're stuck in the middle.
Then
stuff.
East Perth, Perth, then Peel.
Yeah.
Then Peel, Perth, East Perth. Now, because South Fremantle and Subi only had limited players, then they get a pick. So in the 4th round, they get to pick. Then same again in the 5th round. In the 6th round, now East Fremantle get a pick as well. So East Perth, Perth, Peel, South Fremantle, Subi, and East Fremantle. And it goes all the way through, guys, until each team gets an additional, essentially 9 players, or gets their list topped up to 9 or 10, sorry. So Claremont have 13 and everyone else has 10. So Claremont get a boost, but a lot of their players are pretty borderline players anyway. So that means each team has 10 AFL listed players.
Yep.
We play, 2 rounds, home and away. Get rid of the West Coast team. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 teams. So one team gets a bye. What's that? 15 rounds? 16 rounds,
Interesting.
whatever it is. Mate, everyone can come back, watch the games. You're saying Channel 7 wouldn't buy those games. You know, you could get rid of, you can even you can keep your league listed players and they can play, you know, like East Perth obviously got a couple of great players in the league side. You know, Ramsey might play and big Scott Jones will play for us and things like that. But you know what I mean? Also, everyone gets to play and you top up. You've essentially got half AFL and half waffle in your team. Why not, mate?
Interesting.
Why not, mate? Who would go number one pick, you reckon? Out of that, would it be Shuey?
Oh.
Wouldn't be a Dockers player. I just had a look through the Dockers quickly.
Jeez.
And
You don't reckon?
No, it wouldn't be. It'd be Shuey or Redden.
Just quietly, go through your Claremont players again. I want you to take your time to read through this.
Claremont, Barras, Jamison, McGovern, Tracy, Waterman, Francis, Banfield, Butters, Carter, Collier, Fife, Hamling, Hogan.
Are you telling me that they wouldn't smash every team?
But they don't
Freaking
get-
Fife, mate.
Mate, they don't get any extra players, mate.
Yeah,
so,
but literally they just build a team around him.
yeah, I guess. Mate, Fife, Hamling, Barras, McGovern, and Hogan.
Mate, are they going to...
Mate,
No,
and Waterman.
no
that's
team
good.
is going to beat that.
Mate, that's mind you, Swan Districts would have Nick Nat, Jeddah.
Assuming he plays more than a game.
Yeah, Nick Nat, Jeddah, Sonny, Lob,
Yeah, Lob's good.
Blakely,
Sonny's obviously great.
Hughes,
Yes, good.
Cameron, little
Yes.
Cameron, mate,
Yes.
Tobe Watson.
Yeah.
See, now Swannies have got a lot of middle range
Yeah,
guys that
but-
are good, but they've got that top end of Nick Nat, Sonny, Lob, Logue, Blakely, Jeddah. That's a good side,
Yeah,
man.
it is a good side.
Mate, that's a good side.
good
But
side.
mate, even South Freo, they'd have a Chi, Kelly, Mateer, and Carmack. West Perth would have Allen and Darling, as well as
Well, Mighty
Akers and
Demons are in a bit
Hill.
of trouble, mate. That's all I'm going to say.
Mate, Conker, the old red legs. Mate, what about East Perth?
Conks would hold it up.
Hutchings, mate, that'd be a one player. And
feel
then we'd
like-
be like, please, can we have Shuey,
Yeah.
Duggan, and all the good
Yeah.
players? All the good players, please, sure. But that's just a crazy left field idea. It will never happen. It won't happen in a million years. And it looks like the Waffle will actually struggle to go to... Well, no, the Waffle's not going to struggle to go to head, but Peel's going to be in a lot of trouble, man.
Yes.
Peel might have to just sit out this year and they have an 8-team competition because West Coast can't play.
Well,
and Peel won't be able to play.
unless they actually just elevate their resis, which is...
Yeah, but Peel would struggle, mate.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you've got to say to the Peel players who probably don't live in Mandurah, let's be honest, they might not. Just say to them, look, boys, you can go, we'll have a mini draft with the Peel players, go to whichever club you want and go from there, you know, because it's like, I mean, the Peel team every week rolls out 10, 12 Dockers every week, man. So, you know, what do you do? Anyway, guys, on that note, thanks for listening. And next week, we're going to do Siren Gate.
Oh, enjoyable.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We'll see how it goes. Unbelievable.
Love yous all.
Love yous all,
See ya.
guys.